Hello everyone, welcome to the Morrowind Book Club. Today we're going to be diving into the Varieties of Faith, ... I wonder if, is that actually part of the title? Interesting. Let's not waste any time, let's get right on into it. Varieties of Faith in the Empire by Brother Mikhail Karkuksor of the Imperial College. This is my best attempt at a listing of the pantheons and associated divine spirits of Tamriel's dominant cultures. This list is by no means complete. The Imperial City of Cyrodiil alone boasts a vast host of saints and holy spirits. It only includes the most important spirits, revered by native members of the culture. Other Et Ada, especially Daedra, are often familiar, known to many cultures, though specific names are included here only when they possess a particular cultural significance. The omission of any reference to the worship of the Argonians of Black Marsh is a result of my complete inadequacy in reconciling the obscure and contradictory accounts available to me on that subject. Translation, we couldn't figure out what made some cool lore, so we're just gonna go ahead and say, I don't know! Or, you know, I'm just being facetious or whatever the word is that I want to use. Whatever. The 8 pantheons. Let's dive into things. Cyrodiil. We've got Akatosh, Dibella, Arche, Zenithar, Mara, Stendarr, Kinnereth, Julianos, Shazar, Tiber Septim, Morihos, and Riemann. Now, this here sounds very familiar because if I recall correctly, back in was it Arena? It was Daggerfall. I think it was Daggerfall that we started to get a little bit faithy, didn't we? We joined a temple. Was it? I remember Arche, but I believe we may have also settled on Kinnereth at some point too. So one of those two. Where's the Stendarr? Anyways, they sound familiar. Yes, we've been familiar with these. How many are there here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 gods within this pantheon. Now they've got Tiber Septim, which, from what I've heard people shouting online, they refer to like Talos, I believe. So, but don't they say bless the 9 or something? Why, there's 12 here. But almost like right after that, I was like, okay, I couldn't figure it out. So then I moved down to Skyrim and I got to Alduin, Dibella. I'm like, oh wait, there's a double here. Orce, Sun, Mara, where's another double. Stun, Keen, Junal, Shor, Izmir, Herma-Mora, and Malak. So perhaps the 9, let me see, would be the ones that are not the doubles. Yeah, because if you remove Tiber Septim, Dibella, and Mara, you get 9. I think that works. Anyways, moving on. Holy crap. Altmer, right? Ariel, Trinimac. Oh, I've heard that name before. Magnus, Cirabane, Ifri, Xarxes, Mara again, Stendarr, oh, there's another one, Lorcan, and Finister. Now, Finister, we've got doubles here as well. Mara and Stendarr. So that messes me up a little bit here. So are some of these the ones in Cyrodiil? Okay, I'm wondering, are each of these gods taken from one of these other regions? Okay, let's get through the whole list and then we'll see. Bosmer, Oriel, Ifre. Okay, so I'm noticing the elves already have got a couple of duplicates. Arche. Okay, so Arche was a more of an elven god, I'm guessing. Xen, Xarxes, Bandar, Mara. Mara is present across. Interesting. So Mara so far has appeared in every culture. Okay, sorry. Mara, Stendarr, Lorcan, Herma-Mora, Joan, and Jode. Now the Dunmer: Almalexia, Vivek, Sothasil, Boethia, Mephala, Azura, Lorcan, Nerevar, Moleg Bal, Malakath, Shugarath, Merun Stegan. Okay, I'm sorry, the Dunmer have got like the best lineup, and maybe it's just because Morrowind did so much to expand on the lore that I'm like, oh, I know all these names. I know all these people, and they are all cool because I know all about them. Well, maybe they're not all cool, but you know what I mean. Shigarath, Morrowind's Dagon. Okay. Yokuda. Yokuda. That's one of the lands beyond Tamriel, isn't it? Satakal. Ruptka. Tuwaka. Zet. Norwa. Tava. Maluk. Diagna. Sep. Hunding. Leki. Onsi. Interesting theme on the way those sound. Brettany. Brettany? Huh. Maybe that's not a land beyond. Because I'm wondering, is this a case of the names, like the author has a certain name for the place, but it's known differently within, like, say, the Empire, or maybe locally, like Brettany. What is it? High Rock, I think. Is it High Rock, where the Bretons are from? Could it also be known as Brettany? Because if I recall correctly, Argonia. That's right. The Black Marsh also was referred to as Argonia at some point in the past. It was one of the games. Was it Daggerfall, where they referred to? I remember reading or seeing something where the Black Marsh was referred to as Argonia as well. So is Yakuta? Redguard. High Rock and Hammerfell. Oh, wait, is Hammer? I always get those two mixed up because they're I spent an entire game on the with the bay, with the land that's literally, those two territories are right there in Daggerfall, right? High Rock and Hammerfell, and yet I still can't remember which is which. I think High Rock was Bretons. Anyways, sorry. Let's finish this. Brettany, Akatosh, Magnus, Ifre, Dibella. There's Dibella again. Arke, Zenithar, Mara, Stendar, Kinnereth, Julianos, Sheor, Finister. Elsewhere, Alkosh, Kinarthi, Riddlethar, Ja, Kaje, Mara. There's Mara again. Srendar, Lorkaj, Rajin, Bandar, Azura, Shigarath. Interesting. Now I'm wondering, are these the same? Are we seeing like some duplicates here, maybe with different spellings? Are these like the same gods, but just different? Like we got Azura and Shigarath and Shigarath, but they're spelled differently. Interesting. Notes on the divine spirits of the pantheons. Akatosh, dragon god of time. Akatosh is the chief deity of the 9 divines, the major religious cult of Cyrodiil and its provinces, and one of 2 deities found in every Tamrielic religion. The other is Lorcan. Really? Lorcan? Oh, yeah. No. Yokuda doesn't have it. Oh, wait. Every Tamrielic. Maybe. Okay, Yokuda is away from Brettany. Lorcan, you're not there. Oh, darn it! I thought I caught them. Oh, Lorkaj. No, it doesn't count. It's not spelled the same. Nope, doesn't count. Okay. Sorry. He is generally considered to be the first of the gods to form in the beginning place. After his establishment, other spirits found the process of being easier. And the various pantheons of the world emerged. He is the ultimate god of the Cyrodiilic Empire, where he embodies the qualities of endurance, invincibility, and everlasting legitimacy. Okay, so that's Akatosh. So I'm guessing Akatosh is he of the 9 divines? See, it's messing me up now though, because I'm like, which one are the 9 divines? Because we got 12 listed here. Is it just the ones that don't have a duplicate? Maybe it'll explain it. I'll just keep going. Alduin, World Eater. Alduin is the Nordic variation of Akatosh, and only superficially resembles his counterpart in the Nine Divines. For example, Alduin's sobriquet. Okay, sobriquet basically is a fancy word for nickname. All right, so Alduin's sobriquet, the World Eater, comes from myths that depict him as the horrible, ravaging firestorm that destroyed the last world to begin this one. Nords therefore see the god of time as both creator and harbinger of the apocalypse. He is not the chief of the Nordic pantheon. In fact, that pantheon has no chief, see shore below. But its wellspring, albeit a grim and frightening one. Alkosh, Dragon King of Cats, Pre-Data Dynasty Anaquinine deity, a variation on the Altmeri Uriel, and thus an Akatosh as culture hero for the earliest Khajiit. His worship was co-opted during the establishment of the Riddlethar, and he still enjoys immense popularity in Elsewhere's wasteland regions. He's depicted as a fearsome dragon, a creature the Khajiit say is just a real big cat. He repelled an early Aldmeri program of Pelinal White's Drake during mythic times. Almalexia, Mother Morrowind. Most traces of Akatosh disappeared from ancient Chimer legends during their so-called exodus, primarily due to that god's association and esteem with the Altmeri. However, most aspects of Akatosh, which seem so important to the mortal races, namely immortality, historicity, and genealogy, have conveniently resurfaced in Almalexia, the most popular of Morrowind's divine tribunal. Really? I find that interesting, considering she is spoken of so little. I mean, Vivek has got like a whole place named after him. He's got books all over the place. Like, I think Vivek is the most, maybe they mean popular in the sense of most well-liked. Maybe people like Almalexia more than Vivek. Anyways, that's an interesting little bit of information. Arche, god of the cycle of life and death. That sounds familiar. I think we picked that in Daggerfall. Member of the Nine Divines pantheon and popular elsewhere as well, Arche is often more important in those cultures where his father, Akatosh, is either less related to time or where his time aspects are difficult to comprehend by the layman. He is the god of burials and funeral rites and is sometimes associated with the seasons. His priests are staunch opponents of necromancy and all forms of the undead. It is said that Arche did not exist before the world was created by the gods under Lorcan's supervision, urging trickery. Therefore, he is sometimes called the mortal's god. I don't remember which one we fell into with. I think we started with Kinnereth, and then we ended up going towards Arche. I might have things reversed, but whatever. Uriel, king of the Aldmer. The elven Akatosh is Uriel. Uriel is the soul of Anu-El, who in turn is the soul of Anu, the everything. He is the chief of most Aldmeri pantheons. Most Altmeri and Bosmeri claim direct descendant from Uriel. In his only known moment of weakness, he agreed to take his part in the creation of the mortal plane, that act which forever sundered the elves from the spirit worlds of eternity. To make up for it, Uriel led the original Aldmer against the armies of Lorcan in mythic times, vanquishing that tyrant and establishing the first kingdoms of the Altmer, Altmora and Old Elnofe. That actually sounds familiar. I think we've read that at some point before. He then ascended to heaven in full observance of his followers so that they might learn the steps needed to escape the mortal plane. Azura, goddess of dusk and dawn. We've talked to Azura. She's a cool lady. I mean, Guy, Aslate. Daedra, right? She's a Daedra, or he's a Daedra. They present whatever. I'm going with she. Azura was the god ancestor that taught the Chimer the mysteries needed to be different than the Altmer. Some of her, see, they're using her right there. Some of her more conventional teachings are sometimes attributed to Boethia. In the stories, Azura is often more a communal cosmic force for the race as a whole than an ancestor or a god, also known as the anticipation of Sotha Sil. And elsewhere, Azura is nearly a wholly separate entity yet she is still tied into the origins of Khajiit out of Aldmeri's stock. Holy crap, this is a long book. I just jumped ahead. We've got a lot of this. Okay, I gotta move things here. Bandar, the bandit god. In most regions, Bandar is a marginal deity, a trickster spirit of thieves and beggars. And elsewhere, he is more important and regarded as the pariah. In this aspect, Bandar becomes the cleverness or desperate genius of the long-suffering Khajiit, whose last-minute plans always upset the machinations of their elven or human enemies. Boethia, Prince of Plots. Heralded by the prophet Veloth, Boethia is the original god ancestor of the Dark Elves. Through his illuminations, the eventual Chimer, or Changed Folk, renounced all ties to the Aldmer and founded a new nation based on Daedric principles. All manner of dark elven cultural advances are attributed to Boethia. Okay. From philosophy to magic to responsible architecture, ancient Velothi allegories are uniformly heroic successes of Boethia over enemies of every type. Foundation stories of Chimeri struggle. Also known as the anticipation of Almalexia. I was not expecting it to actually go into detail on every single god. Okay, this is actually really cool. Diagna, Orichalc, god of the sideways blade. Horithugish cult of the Red Guards. Diagna. All right, so yeah, that would sort of confirm it. I went back to Yokuda, and that's where we find Diagna, and I don't believe we see Diagna in any other place. So that tells me that, yeah, Red Guards in Yokuda. I just had to flip back in the book. I couldn't have just read the next sentence. Originated in Yokuda during the 27 Snake folk slaughter. Diagna was an avatar of the Hunding, the Yokudan god of make way, see below, that achieved permanence. He was instrumental to the defeat of the left-handed elves, as he brought orichalc weapons to the Yokudan people to win the fight. In Tamriel, he led a very tight-knit group of followers against the orcs of Orsinium during the height of their ancient power, but then faded into obscurity. He is now little more than a local power spirit of the Dragentail Mountains. Oh, Dragentail Mountains! Yeah, we've been there. Dibella, goddess of beauty. Popular god of the Nine Divines. In Cyrodiil, she has nearly a dozen different cults, some devoted to women, some to artists and aesthetics, and others to erotic instruction. Hermamora, the Woodland Man. Ancient Atmoran demon who at one time nearly seduced the Nords into becoming Aldmer. Most Ygrimmar myths are about escaping the wiles of old Hermamora, also called the Demon of Knowledge. He is vaguely related to the cult origins of the Morag Tong. Forester's Guild. Morag Tong. Forester's Guild. Forester's Guild? If only by association with his brother's sister, Mephala. So the Morag Tong, were they originally a Forester's Guild that later became like an Assassin's Guild? Or something? Interesting. Hunding, the make-way god. Yokudan spirit of perseverance over infidels. The Hunding has historically materialized whenever the Red Guards need to make way for their people. In Tamrielic history, this has only happened 3 times. Twice in the First Era during the Ra-Gada invasion, and once during the Tiber War. In this last incarnation, the Hunding was said to have been either a sword or a crown, or both. Interesting. Juno, the rune god. The Nordic god of Hermetic orders. After falling out of favor with the rest of that pantheon, he became Julianos of the Nine Divines. He is absent in modern Skyrim mythology. Okay. Jode, Big Moon God. Aldmeri god of the Big Moon, also called Master or Mara's Tear. Okay, Mara's Tear sounds familiar. In Khajiit religion, Jode is only one aspect of the lunar lattice, or Jakaje. Joan, Little Moon God. Aldmeri god of the Little Moon, also called Sekunda or Stendar's Sorrow. In Khajiit religion, Joan is only one aspect of the lunar lattice, or Jakanje. I forgot that there's more than one moon in the sky. So I was like, big moon, little moon. Well, what the... Oh, yeah. Julianos, the god of wisdom and logic, often associated with Juno, the Nordic father of language and mathematics. Julianos is the Cyrodiilic god of literature, law, history, and contradiction. Monastic orders founded by Tiber Septim and dedicated to Julianos are the keepers of the Elder Scrolls. Keen, kiss at the end. Nordic goddess of the storm, widow of shore, and favored god of warriors. She's often called the mother of men. Her daughters taught the first Nords the use of the Thum, or storm voice. I haven't heard it referred to as a storm voice before. That's cool. Kinnereth, goddess of air. Yeah, I think we started with Kinnereth and then we moved on. Or maybe it was the other way around. I can't remember. I'm not going back and rewatching my crap. Someone who's watched and suffered through my entire Daggerfall playthrough, tell me what god we settled on. Was it Arkay? I think it was Arkay. Kinnereth is a member of the Nine Divines, the strongest of the Sky Spirits. In some legends, she is the first to agree to Lorkhan's plan to invent the mortal plane, and provides the space for its creation in the void. She is also associated with rain, a phenomenon said not to occur before the removal of Lorkhan's divine spark. I mean, okay, that's kind of cool. Like, I mean, if we settled on Kinnereth instead of Arkay, I'd be okay with that, I guess. It's driving me nuts now. Anyways, Leki, saint of the spirit sword, goddess daughter of Tall Papa. I'm sorry, that's just the fun name. The goddess daughter of Tall Papa. I can't take this pantheon seriously. Leki is the goddess of aberrant swordsmanship. The Na Totambu of Yokuda warred to a standstill during the Mythic era to decide who would lead the charge against the left-handed elves. Their swordmasters, though, were so skilled in the best-known cuts as to be matched evenly. Leki introduced the ephemeral feint. Afterwards, a victor emerged and the war with the Aldmer began. Lorkhan, the missing god. This creator, trickster, tester, deity is in every Tamrielic mythic tradition. His most popular name is the Aldmeri Lorkhan, or Doomdrum. He convinced or contrived the original spirits to bring about the creation of the mortal plane, upsetting the status quo, much like his father Padme had introduced instability into the universe in the beginning place. After the world is materialized, Lorkhan is separated from his divine center, sometimes involuntarily, and wanders the creation of the Et-Ada. He and his metaphysical placement in the scheme of things is interpreted a variety of ways. In Morrowind, for example, he's a being related to the Psijic Endeavor, a process by which mortals are charged with transcending the gods that created them. To the High Elves, he is the most unholy of all higher powers, as he forever broke their connection to the spirit plane. In the legends, he is almost always an enemy of the Aldmer and therefore a hero of early mankind. Lorkhaj, Moonbeast, Pre-Data Dynasty Anaquinine deity, easily identified with the missing god Lorkhan. Yeah, that's what I figured. Magnus, or Magus, the god of sorcery. Magnus withdrew from the creation of the world at the last second, though it cost him dearly. What is left of him on the world is felt and controlled by mortals as magic. One story says that while the idea was thought up by Lorkhan, it was Magnus who created the schematics and diagrams needed to construct the mortal plane. He is sometimes represented by an astrolabe, a telescope, or more commonly, a staff. Cyrodiilic legends say he can inhabit the bodies of powerful magicians and lend them his power, associated with Zurin Arctus, the Underking. The Underking. Malakath, god of curses. Malakath is the reanimated dung that was Trinimac, a somewhat weak but vengeful Daedra. The Dark Elves say he is also Malak, the god king of the Orcs. He always tests the Dunmer for physical weakness. Maluk, the Horde King, an enemy god of the Ragada, led the goblins against the Red Guards during the First Era. Fled east when the army of the Hunding overtook his goblin hordes. Moloch, or Malakath, an orcish god. Moloch troubled the heirs of King Harald for a long time, fled east after his defeat at the Battle of Dragonwall, First Era 660. His rage was said to fill the sky with his sulfurous hatred, later called the Year of Winter in Summer. Mara, goddess of love. Nearly universal goddess. Origins started in mythic times as a fertility goddess. In Skyrim, Mara is a handmaiden of Keen, or Kine. In the Empire, she is mother goddess. She is sometimes associated with Nur of the Anuad, the female principle of the cosmos that gave birth to creation. Depending on the religion, she is either married to Akatosh or Lorcan, or the concubine of both. Mehrunes Dagon, god of destruction. Popular Daedric power. He is associated with the natural dangers like fire, earthquakes, and floods. In some cultures, though, Dagon is merely a god of bloodshed and betrayal. He is an especially important deity in Morrowind, where he represents its near inhospitable terrain. Mephala, androgyne. Mephala is the web spinner, or the spider god. In Morrowind, he/she was the ancestor that taught the Chimer the skills they would need to evade their enemies, or to kill them with secret murder. I love it. I love it. I'm sorry. It's no longer assassination or anything. It's secret murder. Enemies were numerous in those days, since the Chimer were a small faction. She, along with Boethia, organized the clan systems that eventually became the basis for the Great Houses. She founded the Morag Tong, also called the Anticipation of Vivek. Who was that again? That was Mephala. Molag Bal, god of schemes, king of rape. Not a title I would want, okay. Daedric power of much importance in Morrowind. There he is always the arch-enemy of Boethia, the Prince of Plots. He is the main source of the obstacles to the Dunmer and preceding Chimer people. In the legends, Molag Bal always tries to upset the bloodlines of houses or otherwise ruin Dunmeri purity. A race of super monsters, said to live in Molag Amur, are the result of his seduction of Vivek during the previous era. Molag Amur? I feel like we've been there, but now I want to go back there to see what this is all about. Morihos, first breath of man. Ancient cultural hero god of the Syro-Nordics. Legend portrays him as the taker of the citadel, an act of mythic times that established human control over the valley heartland. He is often associated with the Nordic powers of Thum, and therefore with Kinnereth. Morwa, the teat god. Okay. Yokudan, fertility goddess, fundamental deity in the Yokudan pantheon, and the favorite of Tall Papa's wives. Still worshipped in various areas of Hammerfell, including Stros Mkai. Morwa is always portrayed as four-armed so that she can grab more husbands. I gotta say, I'm kind of liking the Yokudan pantheon. like they got fun names. I like it. I like it. Nerevar, hey, that's us! God Killer. The Chimeri King of Resdain, the golden age of Old Veloth, slain during the Battle of Red Mountain. Nerevar was the herald of the Triune Way, and is the foremost of the saints of Dunmeri faith. I guess you can pick either one, so she is said to have killed well, no, it was still he then at that time, right? He is said to have killed Dumak, the last Dwarven king, and feasted on his heart. Oh, did we really do that? Okay. Sounds really metal. Not sure if not very nice, though. Ansi, Bone Shaver. Notable warrior god of the Yokudan Ra Gada, Ansi taught mankind how to pull their knives into swords. Really? Pull their knives into swords? I'm just picturing like, no guys, just take the ends of your knives, pull on them, there you go, now you got full blades. They're all swords now. Orke, Old Knocker, a lone god of the Nords, who seemed to have taken up his worship during Aldmeri rule of Admora. Nords believe they once lived as long as elves until Orke appeared. Through heathen trickery, he fooled them into a bargain that bound them to the Count of Winters. At one time, legends say Nords only had a lifespan of 6 years due to Orke's foul magic. Shor showed up, though, and through unknown means removed the curse, throwing most of it into the nearby orcs. Oh, do orcs have a really short lifespan? Finister, hero god of the Somerset Isles, who taught the Altmer how to naturally live another 100 years by using a shorter walking stride. Interesting. Rajin, footpad, thief god of the Khajiit, who grew up in the Black Kirgo section of the Senchal, the most famous burglar in Elsewhere's history. Rajin is said to have stolen a tattoo from the neck of Empress Kintira as she slept. That is pretty good. When you can steal a tattoo, that is pretty good. Riemann, the Cyrodiil, culture god hero of the Second Empire. Riemann was the greatest hero of the Akaviri Trouble. Indeed, he convinced the invaders to help him build his own empire and conquered all of Tamriel except for Morrowind. He instituted the rites of becoming emperor, which included the ritual Geese? Alright, so apparently, if this is the same word, it's a gesh. Sounds like an Irish word. An obligation or prohibition magically imposed on a person. Okay, I can see that. To the Amulet of Kings, a soul gem of immense power. His dynasty was ended by the Dunmeri Morag Tong at the end of the First Era, also called the Worldly God. Riddlethar, Two Moons Dance. The cosmic order deity of the Khajiit, the Riddlethar was revealed to Elsewhere by the prophet Ridthar Riddata. The Riddlethar is more a set of guidelines by which to live than a single entity, but some of his avatars like to appear as humble messengers of the gods, also known as the Sugar God. Of course it is. Ruptga, Tall Papa. Yes, we're finally learning about Tall Papa. Chief deity of the Yokudan pantheon, Ruptga, more commonly Tall Papa, was the first god to figure out how to survive the hunger of Satakal. Following his lead, the other gods learned the walkabout, or a process by which they can persist beyond one lifetime. Tall Papa set the stars in the sky to show lesser spirits how to do this, too. When there were too many spirits to keep track of, though, Ruptga created a helper out of the dead skin of past worlds. This helper is Sep, see below, who later creates the world of mortals. That's interesting. Satakal, the world skin. Yokudan god of everything, a fusion of the concepts of Anu and Padme. Basically, Satakal is much like the Nordic Alduin, who destroys one world to begin the next. In Yokudan mythology, Satakal had done, and still does, this many times over, a cycle which prompted the birth of spirits that could survive the transition. These spirits ultimately become the Yokudan pantheon, popular god of the Alikir nomads. Sheogorath, the mad god. The fearful obeisance of Sheogorath is widespread and is found in most Tamrielic quarters. Contemporary sources indicate that his roots are in Aldmeri creation stories. Therein he is born when Lorcan's divine spark is removed. One crucial myth calls him the Sithis-shaped hole of the world. Sheor, or Bad Man. In Brittany, the Bad Man is a source of all strife. Can we just I want to like alter like real world like religion? Can we just like stop calling it like Satan and just start saying Bad Man? I like that. The Bad Man is the source of all strife. He seems to have started as the god of crop failure. Oh, he's the source of all strife. So he's moving up the world. He started with crop failure and now he's responsible for all strife. Good job, Bad Man. But most modern theologians agree that he is a demonized version of the Nordic Shor, born during the dark years after the fall of Sarthal. Sep, the Snake. Yokudan version of Lorcan, Sep is born when Tall Papa creates someone to help him regulate the spirit trade. Sep, is driven crazy by the hunger of Satakal, and he convinces some of the gods to help him make an easier alternative to the walkabout. This, of course, is the world as we know it, and the spirits who followed Sep become trapped here, to live out their lives as mortals. Sep is punished by Tall Papa for his transgressions, but his hunger lives on as a void in the stars, a non-space that tries to upset mortal entry into the far shores. Shazar, god of man, Cyrodiilic version of Lorcan, whose importance suffers when Akatosh comes into the fore of imperial, really, Elysian, religion. Shazar was the spirit behind all human undertaking, especially against Aldmeri aggression. He is sometimes associated with the founding of the first Cyrodiilic battle mages. In the present age of racial tolerance, Shazar is all but forgotten. Shor, god of the underworld, Nordic version of Lorcan, who takes sides with men after the creation of the world. Foreign gods, i.e. elven ones, conspire against him and bring about his defeat, dooming him to the underworld. Atmore myths depict him as a bloodthirsty warrior king who leads the Nords to victory over their Aldmeri oppressors time and again. Before his doom, Shor was the chief of the gods, sometimes also called children's god. See Orki above. Sothasil. All right. So back to something that's a little bit more relevant. All this is very short here. Mystery of Morrowind, god of the Dunmer. Sothasil is the least known of the divine tribunal. He is said to be reshaping the world from his hidden clockwork city. Yeah. Stendarr, god of mercy, god of the nine divines. Stendarr has evolved from his Nordic origins into a deity of compassion or sometimes righteous rule. He is said to have accompanied Tiber Septim in his later years. In early Aldmeri legends, Stendarr is the apologist of men. Stun, god of ransom, Nordic precursor to Stendarr, brother of Tsun, shield thane of Shor. Stun was a warrior god that fought against the Aldmeri pantheon. He showed men how to take and the benefits of taking prisoners of war. Cyrabane, warlock's god, an Aldmeri god ancestor of magic. Cyrabane aided Bendu Olo in the fall of the Slode. Though judicious use of his magical ring, Cyrabane saved many from the scourge of the Thracian plague. He's also called the apprentice's god, for he's a favorite of the younger members of the Mages Guild. Tava, the bird god, Yokudan spirit of the air. Tava is most famous for leading the Yokudans to the Isle of Herne, after the destruction of their homeland. She has since become assimilated into the mythology of Kinnereth. She is still very popular in Hammerfell among sailors, and her shrines can be found in most port cities. I wonder if we went back to some port cities in Daggerfall, if we could find something about Tava. Tiber Septim, Talos, the Dragonborn. Heir to the seed of sundered kings, Tiber Septim is the most important hero god of mankind. He conquered all of Tamriel and ushered in the Third Era and the Third Empire, also called Ysmir, Dragon of the North. Okay, he's the most important hero god of mankind. He conquered all of Tamriel. Okay, when you got other gods that literally created the world and you got this dude here, it's like, he conquered Tamriel. I don't know, it seems a little less impressive. I'm like, he's not that great. Whatever. Or maybe it's he's the most important hero god rather than just regular god. Whatever. Trinimac, strong god of the early Aldmer, in some places where more popular than Auriel. He was a warrior spirit of the original elven tribes that led armies against the men. Boethia is said to have assumed his shape. In some stories, he even eats Trinimac, so that he could convince a throng of Aldmer to listen to him, which led to their eventual Chimeri conversion. He vanishes from the mythic stage after this to return as the Dread Malakath. Altmeri propaganda portrays this as the dangers of Dunmeri influence. Sun, extinct Nordic god of trials against adversity, died defending Shor from foreign gods. Tuwaka, the tricky god, Yokudan god of souls. Tuwaka, before the creation of the world, was the god of nobody really cares. When Tall Papa undertook the creation of the walkabout, Tuwaka found a purpose. He became the caretaker of the far shores and continues to help Redguards find their way into the afterlife. His cult is sometimes associated with Arkay in the more cosmopolitan regions of Hammerfell. Vivek. Oh, they wrote some stuff about... Oh, darn it. I was like, oh yeah, we got like 2 pages on... No, there's another guy over there. Okay. Vivek, master of Morrowind, warrior poet god of the Dunmer. Vivek is the invisible keeper of the Holy Land, ever vigilant against the dark gods of the volcano. She has saved the Dunmeri people from certain death on numerous occasions, most notably when she taught them how to breathe water for a day so that she could flood Morrowind and kill the Akaviri invaders. Second Era, 572. Interesting. We did learn a little bit earlier something about Vivek being the anticipation of someone, the androgynine. So is Vivek officially non-binary? Like both he, she? So according to this, it's totally appropriate to refer to Vivek as a she as well. Okay. Xerxes. Xerxes is the god of ancestry and secret knowledge. He began as a scribe to Uriel and has kept track of all Aldmeri accomplishments, large and small, since the beginning of time. He created his wife, Ogma, from his favorite moments in history. Ogma. Wait, Ogma. Ogma Infinite. Okay. I'm like, wait, didn't we get like a relic or something in Daggerfall? Yeah, I think that's what it was. From his favorite moments in history, sorry. Ymhra, god of the forest. Most important deity of the Bosmeri pantheon. While Uriel, time dragon, might be the king of the gods, the Bosmer revere Ymhra as the spirit of the now. According to the Wood Elves, after the creation of the mortal plane, everything was in chaos. The first mortals were turning into plants and animals and back again. Then Ymhra transformed himself into the first of the Elnofe, or Earthbones. After these laws of nature were established, mortals had a semblance of safety in the new world, because they could finally understand it. Ymhra is sometimes called the storyteller, for the lessons he taught the first Bosmer. Some Bosmer still possess the knowledge of the Chaos Times, which they can use to great effect. The Wild Hunt. Ysmir, Dragon of the North, the Nordic aspect of Talos. He withstood the power of the Greybeard's voices long enough to hear their prophecy. Later, many Nords could not look on him without seeing a dragon. Zen, god of toil. Bosmeri, god of payment in kind. Studies indicate origins in both Argonian and Akaviri mythologies, perhaps introduced into Valenwood by Kothringi sailors. Ostensibly an agriculture deity. Man, I'm glad we're almost done. My mouth. Zen sometimes proves to be an entity of a much higher cosmic order. His worship died out shortly after the Knaten flu. Zet, god of farms. Yokuden, god of agriculture. Renounced his father after the world was created, which is why Tal Papa makes it so hard to grow food. Zenithar, god of work and commerce. Trader god. Member of the Nine Divines, Zenithar is understandably associated with Zen. In the Empire, however, he is a far more cultivated god of merchants and middle nobility. His worshippers say, despite his mysterious origins, Zenithar is the god that will always win. That was a longer book. Dang, that was a long book. We learned a lot about the various gods in Tamriel. Like, holy crap. I'm both annoyed that I read it, and glad. I'm like, cool. All right, I read it. So yeah, that was the Varieties of Faith in the Empire by Brother Mikhail Karkuksor of the Imperial College. If you are still awake, give this video a thumbs up. If you are asleep right now, in your sleep, I want you to give this video a thumbs down. Just to go ahead and do it. Whether you are awake or sleeping, I want you to leave your thoughts or your dreams in the comment section below. And until next time, I would like to ask you all to game on.